Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. But before we jump into that, I do want to invite you to join me tomorrow, Wednesday, July 1st, 2020, at 4 p.m. Central Time. That will be when we begin our PivotBoss monthly market outlook. So we'll be discussing seasonality tendencies here heading into July and August, and we'll be looking for opportunities to play those moves here in both the futures and the stocks. We'll also be talking options as well. So please join me here tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That'll be July 1st for our PivotBoss monthly market outlook. Okay, here's a look at the ES. One thing that's very important right now is the previous session here we did have a rejection of the low at 29.90. That led to a bounce back toward the previous session's midpoint and also back toward the previous month's close price, which is this blue dot here. We've now hit that price and or gotten very close to it here today, 59s, and that price is basically right in the 59 zone, 60 zone. So that is right where we are. So overall, this is one of these markets here where we have been seeing a pattern of failed highs that lead to outside day down, and then over here was a failed high and eventually crashed down, failed high and outside day down. We had a bullish move up yesterday, just like we did on these days, but right now having trouble staying above the previous session's high. So the previous session's high is going to be very, very important here, and that for the ES is the 30.51 quarters. So 30.51 quarter, very important here. If price can get back above that zone, perhaps this morning pullback here leads to a continuation higher and we could see a move higher. But over the last couple of weeks, again, after a bullish day here, we've seen a pullback. We've seen failed highs lead to weakness. So again, right now, if we can't stay above the 30.50 zone, 30.51 halves, then we could be looking at a pullback to this mid. And if we fail to hold that mid, that's what opens up a move down into 29.80. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for signs of failure. Otherwise, being able to hold it above 30.50 would be a good sign that this thing could actually return back to a 3100 and perhaps that 3150 resistance. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. Again, right now, what we're watching for is any signs of failed new high. So right there, we have a push to a new high, and now it's back below the previous session's high right there. And in failing to hold above that high, which right there is about 10K, again, that could open up a return as deep as the previous session's midpoint, which is this mid dot right there. And that level right there for this market here is going to be 98.63s. 98.6288s. So basically, if you can't stay above 10K here, we're likely going to see a rotation back to the mid. That's what happened here a couple of days ago. That was Friday, rotation back to the mid, and then through it for outside day. Over here, again, failure to hold above 10,200, and it rotated very deep through the previous session's range. So we're really rotating deep into these prior ranges here. So again, we haven't seen the strength here that would suggest that we could do that just yet, although we may be building the energy for it. Right now, failed new high could open up a pullback toward the previous session's midpoint at the very least, and if we can stay above those highs, that's what will open up the upside expansion. Okay, let's take a look now at crude oil. You'll see crude oil here, this one is also at a pullback zone in terms of the PIMA trigger zone here. Here, it's been holding. Every time it hits the PIMA 8 period, it's bounced out of that zone. And right now, we've been in it for 4 days. 4 days and haven't really come out of it very strong until yesterday. Yesterday was the first day where it finally finished, where it actually rallied early and finished above that zone. And that's pretty strong. Right now, it's trying that area right here. That's about 39.80s. Let's take a look here. That's about 39.86. And overall, this after yesterday's move up, this pullback to 39.80, if it can continue to hold that zone, or 38.90 rather, 38.80, if it can hold that zone, then perhaps this is a pullback before what could be a continuation higher. The 40 level above has been important, 40.5. It's built enough energy down here to suggest that we could see a pretty significant move soon. If we bring the PivotBoss Advanced ADR indicator, it was looking at a monthly range here. Let's bring this down to, let's go with 5 days. We could also go 3 or 4. Right now we have a developing 5-day range, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it's 4 days. But even right now, it's at 72% of ADR for that 4-day range. Again, that suggests that we could be coiling up for a bigger move to come. Here's 65% of ADR over these 4 days right there. And so that's not below the 65%, but it's basically right at it, which suggests again that we're compressed and we could be looking at that breakout move here pretty soon. So again, watching to see how this plays out right here. If they can hold, maybe there's a bounce that comes ahead. Otherwise, a failure to hold that zone brings us right back down to recent support, 37.50. Okay, let's take a look lastly at gold futures. Here's gold. This one has looked quite bullish. I mentioned before that this breakout right here may have changed things for gold. We may be on a very, very significant move higher coming up ahead. After this push up, I mentioned any rotation into 1750 to 1760 needed to be defended, and that could trigger a PIMA pullback bounce, and it already has. You see 2 days of absorption here developing already, with bulls defending above 1770. That's building energy here that could lead to a stop run day ahead and a big continuation. So again, right now, gold looking very, very bullish. It hasn't quite hit 18s yet, but it's building the energy. Now, if there's a failure, say price fails to hold that midpoint right here and we crash and close lower, that could be a pretty significant rejection that would then lead us back across the range. So there's always the potential for rejection. But right now, the way this looks, it suggests that we could be headed higher toward that 1831 target. All right, that is it for now. Again, please join me tomorrow, Wednesday, July 1st at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time for our PivotBoss Monthly Market Outlook. We'll discuss seasonal tendencies and other setups that are developing for the month of July. And again, good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.